Oh, that's beautiful. She's beautiful. In September 2012, a dolphin escorted by two other animals, we believe possibly females, possibly males, entered St George's Basin via Sussex Inlet and milled around in that area for around a couple of weeks before that two animals left, leaving one animal behind. Now, for whatever reason, she was unable to leave the Sussex Inlet location. We believe that she has a serious concern about crossing the bar. So she was effectively entrapped in St George's Basin since September. What we did find is that straight away she started making herself known to the members of the community, the fishermen in the local area, children who were swimming in the local sites. And over the Christmas holidays that followed in November, December and January, she became quite notorious for approaching people and being very, very friendly, as the film clips will show. However, there were many tourists around at the time who didn't have that level of understanding about the animal, didn't have that level of understanding about animal behaviour, and they were showing inappropriate behaviours around the animal, jumping on the animal's back, throwing ropes around it, trying to encourage the animal to come to the boat by throwing anchors in its direction. We've begun to get very concerned about the animal's welfare in the longer or intermediate term. We know from overseas experience in New Zealand, in the UK, in the US, other locations around the world where we've had solitary dolphins left behind, entrapped, or just spending time with humans, we know that these things always end in tears. When people started showing inappropriate behaviours to the dolphin, or as well as the dolphin showing inappropriate behaviours to the humans, such as biting, such as pushing, we knew at that point in time that we were going to have to consider relocation of the animal. So the process then was put into place that we would capture the animal and relocate it to another location. We all met on site at 7 o'clock in the morning for a pre-action briefing. And that included all of the SeaWorld staff that were there, Dolphin Marine Magic staff, Orca staff, National Parks and Wildlife staff from the RSPCA, local police service, all there to receive that briefing about how we were going to move that animal safely and then relocate it to another location. We knew from previous behaviour and monitoring of the animal what its preferred locations were in the mornings. Within 15 minutes of us establishing that location, the animal showed up. We used a local veterinarian who was very familiar with the animal to bring it closer to the SeaWorld staff. The SeaWorld staff, after a minute and a half or 2 minutes of interacting with the animal, lifted it gently out of the water, placed it on a rescue mat, was assisted by staff from Dolphin Marine Magic to make sure the animal was placed safely on that mat. Lifted the mat out with the animal out of the water, placed it on some mattresses on the shore, at which point Dwan March from Dolphin Marine Magic undertook a veterinary assessment of the animal, made sure that the animal was, looked at the animal's condition, made sure it was breathing all right, gave the animal a light tranquiliser. At that point, the animal was ready for then transport.
Breaths. She's set.
Watch your back. Within 10 minutes of being hauled out on shore, the animal was then placed carefully into the back of a vehicle and transported for 40 minutes to its relocation site.
Straight down, tail down towards the water. You ready? Yep.
How did she travel, guys? Yep. No problems?
Well, I was in the car following.
That's right.
They looked pretty calm.
How's it vocalising?
No one was bouncing around in the back.
Not a whistle, not a peep.
Wow.
Go up a bit further. Yep.
Do you mind getting me that thingy list tuck?
What's that?
You gonna be in the water again?
Do I want to get in the water?
Are you going?
I'll just go slowly.
Ready to release?
Go.
Okay. Ready to go then? Watch out sand and stuff coming at you.
After a 40-minute vehicle translocation, the animal was inspected down on the beach and then re-released, carried out to sea and released. Within that process, as soon as she was released, she circled around us once, familiarised herself with the bay that she'd been released into. She did circuits around the bay a few times. So for about the first 15 or 20 minutes or so, just familiarised herself back with the sea, very pleased, or maybe even just reaffirming that was an area that she'd once been to.
Okay.
Within 30 minutes of her release from the beachside, a pod of wild dolphins, and of course we have to remember that she was also a wild animal, a pod of animals who utilised that home range came around the corner, and with a tremendous amount of excitement. I mean, dolphins know, they through their ultrasonics and through their calls, she knew that they were there, they knew that she was there. And so they met right on the point. Unfortunately, we didn't get any video footage of that, but the behaviours were interesting. You know, there was a lot of tail slapping, a lot of fluke rubbing, a lot of body rubbing. This is the way the dolphins re-familiarise themselves with old friends, or perhaps making new friends. The intelligence reports we're receiving suggest that she's constantly being seen with a pod of dolphins, maybe the same pod that she associated with on that day, but she's definitely being seen with small groups of dolphins at the moment, and also she's interacting with some of the surfers locally. So for us, it was a textbook relocation to see an animal that is in a potentially dangerous situation to be moved, and the translocation itself, they can be quite dangerous for the animal. You know, so the fact that we had intricately planned this process from day one, and the fact that the process went exactly according to plan, all the way down to the release point, all the way down to the weather on the day that we had very little to do with, but it was perfect on the day. The translocation, everything was perfect, and really I find that extremely satisfying.